Revised Common Lectionary, which is shared by millions of Christians across denominations. But we read through each week. We read through the scriptures that are listed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Friday, we take a look at all of them and see what connection we find. Sometimes it's real easy. Sometimes I don't see a connection. But there pretty much always is. This week, there's a really strong connection, and I'm hoping we get to Genesis, our scriptures. But these are the scriptures we're going to read together today, and then we're going to talk about what jumped out to us. So scriptures this week are Matthew 15, 10 through 28. We won't skip. 10 through 28. Romans 11, 1 through 2a, which is just the first sentence in 2. And then 29 through 32. Those are the setup and then the pitch. Genesis 45, 1 through 15. And then, not going to happen, we in our dreams, we'd like to read Psalm 133, and we'll get to that as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start with somebody in our crew taking the time to read our Matthew 15, 10 through 28 scripture. And then we will go from there and talk about what jumps out to us as we read that. So who would read that for us?
I'll do it. Then Jesus called to the crowd to come here and listen, he said, and try to understand. It's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you. You are defiled by the words that come out of your mouth. Then the disciples came to him and asked, do you realize you offended the Pharisees by what you just said? Jesus replied, every plant not planted by my heavenly Father will be uprooted, so ignore them. They are blind guides leading the blind, and if one blind person guides another, they will both fall into a ditch. Then Peter said to Jesus, explain to us the parable that says people aren't defiled by what they eat. Don't you understand yet? Jesus asked. Anything you eat passes through the stomach and then goes into the sewer. But the words you speak come from the heart, and that's what defiles you. For from the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, all sexual immorality, theft, lying, and slander. These are what defile you. Eating with unwashed hands will never defile you. Then Jesus left Galilee and went north to the region of Tyre and Sidon. Right? Yeah.
Tyre and Sidon.
A gentle woman who lived there came to him pleading, have mercy on me, O Lord, son of David, for my daughter is possessed by a demon that torments her severely. But Jesus gave her no reply, not even a word. Then his disciples urged him to send her away. Tell her to go away, they said. She is bothering us with all her begging. Then Jesus said to the woman, I was sent only to help God's lost sheep, the people of Israel. But she came and worshipped him, pleading again, Lord, help me. Jesus responded, It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs. She replied, that's true, Lord, but even dogs are allowed to eat the scraps that fall beneath their master's table. Dear woman, Jesus said to her, your faith is great, and your request is granted, and her daughter was instantly healed.
Okay. It's kind of odd to me that the NLT says gentle woman instead of Canaanite woman.
Right.
And the only reason that I mention it is because Canaanite woman it makes a difference. Yeah. So like later he says, right. I came for the Israelites.
And you're like, okay. Yeah, no.
So why do we not know that she's a Canaanite? All right, but who cares? All right, so what jumps out to you guys?
She didn't let a barrier stop her from getting God.
Say that again?
She didn't let a barrier stop her from getting something for her daughter.
Yeah.
Because they were didn't even talk to those people.
Mm-mm. No, they were not. They would have referred to them as dogs.
Yeah.
Or Greeks, which is worse.
I thought it was interesting that she didn't argue about being a dog.
No.
She just said, okay.
Yeah.
But even the dogs get scraps from the master's table. Like, if that's what I am, I'm okay with that. But I know who you are, and that can change me.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
She just kept moving forward.
Sometimes that's all you can do.
Sometimes that's all you can do.
I know there was a lot of that the Jews that had come back were they're Gentile. They can't have what we have. Look, they eat pork. Look, they do whatever. And I think that's why I really like that. It's not what goes in your mouth that defiles you, but what comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, it doesn't matter what you eat, but the wickedness that's coming out of you, that's what's making you unclean. And I think that's a really, really nice way of having a gut check. You know, kind of like, okay, well, what are you doing?
Yeah. And then at the same time, you think this is one of those shock to the system moments.
Yeah.
For the Jew.
Yeah.
Because why are the Jews not eating a pulled pork sandwich?
Because of the commandment not to, their rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to eat the split hoof. Right, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Old Testament.
Yeah, because God told them. As far as they're concerned, God said don't do that. So when Jesus comes and says, what goes in your mouth doesn't defile you, they're like, excuse me, point of order. We've got Moses telling us that this is what God told us. We're not supposed to do this. So this is a whole new deal. When we read, you have heard it said. When we read the Beatitudes, you have heard it said. Blah, blah, blah. Then you can, all of those things that he says, you can very easily translate into the what they've been following, and it's just an adjustment to what they've been. But this one is, wait, hold on a minute. So it would be very hard for them. What else jumps out to you guys?
When she spoke to him, she didn't say, have mercy on my daughter. She said, have mercy on me. My daughter is demon possessed and suffering terribly. And then,
wow.
When she says again in 25, the woman came and knelt before him, Lord, help me. And so whenever he said, woman, I have faith, your request is granted, I almost wonder if she knew that he was healing her to grant mercy on her because she was the one taking care of her. Because she's not pleading for. Most of them say heal my daughter or heal me or heal, but she's just saying have mercy on me. She's not asking for her daughter to be just whatever your will is. I guess is more what she's asking, not specifically heal my daughter or heal my feet. Just have mercy on me, Lord. So I don't know. I just look at it like that. Like she's saying that the burden that she's bearing is heavy, and she's asking the Lord to help her with that. And instead of granting her wish, he healed her daughter, which is more than she was even asking for.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way.
That's great. And I just read about it isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs. I just heard a commentary that he wasn't saying any dogs. We're talking pets. Yeah,
the dog he mentions, I do remember that. The dog he mentions is like like your Chihuahua, like your sweet little doggy that you love and want to have around you. He wasn't saying like the garbage dump dogs.
Right.
He very specifically said a kind of dog. Yeah.
Less harsh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, which may be what made her think of the scraps from the table comment. Maybe what made her think about going there.
Yeah. At least they get to eat something.
They get something. I think it's always important that we remember that Jesus is speaking in the spiritual. He's not saying that that eating poison won't defile you. Well, because people take these things to extremes. People say, "Well, I'll eat whatever I want to." can't tell me I can't eat whatever I want to. I'll have ice cream every day, all the time. I'll eat cake whenever I want to. I'll eat pulled pork sandwich whenever I want to. I'll smoke a cigarette if I want to. I'll chew tobacco if I want to. I'll smoke meth that helps me get through the shift at work. People are going, what? And no, really, that's what it was started for. Was methamphetamine was to help people get through a shift at work and work for 3 shifts in a row and get all that overtime and go home.
Isn't that what the Germans used for their soldiers?
The Germans created it for their soldiers. So, yeah, like everything else that Satan does, his lies are wrapped in the truth, and then later he goes, surprise! Look what you got out of that. So,
well, it kind of what you were saying, Pastor Todd, reminds me of. Shoot, I still do it, but I'm going to say teenagers. So, like, right now, my parents said something, and the kid will do it clear up into the line. You know what I mean? And the Israelites were like, yeah, but we didn't cross the line. We didn't eat pork sandwiches. Yeah. And Jesus is like, it's not really about can you follow my orders. It's like, what's in your heart, bro? You know?
Right. That's exactly where I was going. This is a spiritual battle here, boys and girls. This isn't about whether you had a whole bag of Oreos with a Pepsi today. Right. This is not that. Although, please don't. Unless you're really sad. But it's about what comes out of your face. What hit me was the words show what's in your true intent, but also so do the other things that he lists. Committing adultery, doing all those, robbing a bank, all those things. If your heart isn't in a place to do that, then you're not going to do that. So, it's
I think it makes it relational because he's trying to say, like, a little bit of common sense too. Like, you can't be reading the laws and think that that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to tell you to love people. I'm not trying to tell you to don't eat pork. Like, you're not paying attention to the important stuff.
Yeah,
you're really
right.
not focused where you need to be.
Yep.
And I think of Peter as the one that's always questioning.
Always.
And this is prior to the sheep being lowered down with all the animals, and he said, I've never eaten any of those things.
And surely not. I would not do that.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Peter had to be confronted by Paul several years later.
Yeah.
Here he was enjoying the Greeks or Gentiles, and then the Jewish brothers came and said, oh boy, I better not eat any of this now.
Yeah.
Paul said, that is not right, hypocrite. Oh, my hypocrite.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that we got that conversation? That even made it through editing. You know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to make this into this magic religion that everything in it is right, we wouldn't hear about. Especially since Peter was in charge of the church for a little bit, right? And the folks who were in charge of the church, the Catholic Church, the original, when they come up with this stuff, Peter is said to be the first pope, the first leader of the first bishop of Rome. If that's true, then I can imagine him going, "Hey guys, we're just going to have a quick meeting. I got a few things that I don't think are essential. The whole denying him 3 times thing, does that really add to the story? And does that really help? I did get out of the boat. Does it really help that I sunk? I mean, do we need to go there? The whole Paul calling me a hypocrite thing, I mean, really. Look, we were at dinner, right? And I just decided to go. The guys were there, so I decided to eat what we always ate. What's the deal? No, it all gets left in there. It's the ugly parts that get left in. You would, I don't know that you would hear that from any other religion. The dude, the Buddha. I don't know that we're going to hear the Buddha. Yeah, they left the mess, so you know it's real. Yeah. You could pretty much get killed for discussing how Muhammad messed up. If you say it in the right place and draw a cartoon about it, you literally have your life threatened about it. So, yeah. We've been going through these because as we've been walking through this part of Matthew, so many times it happens. I wrote teaching moment. Because Jesus said to her, it's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. But just before that, she speaks up. The disciples come and tell him, just send her away. Just get rid of her. This is not what we're doing. And Jesus says, I was sent only to the lost sheep. I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. So Jesus could have just said, yes, send her away. He wants this interaction to come through. And he gets what he gets. So I think it's a teaching moment for the fellas as well, for the disciples as well.
It's very good mirror of, and I just had it in my head.
It's okay, you'll remember on the way home.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Man, it was so good too. I don't know.
It's a mirror of. Does that help?
No.
It doesn't help. Okay. So it's a teaching moment for him. We go back to, he just did the same thing with the feeding of the 5,000. He does the same thing with each of these moments are moments where he's going, you fix it. And they're like, gah!
And where they were was out of their way. So
Yeah.
he went out of his way, partly to get away
Tyre
from-
and Sidon are said to be doomed.
Well, and it was a rest. Because they'd just been around crowds and been around crowds and been around crowds. But still, even at that, he didn't turn it off. He said what he needed to say, and it was a teaching moment.
Yep.
He could have just not answered at all and just kept on walking. But he addressed it.
I remember what you said. Order. It shows order. And he was letting her know that the Jews were first and then the Gentiles were second. But that he was coming for them.
We don't like to think about that.
That's what it is.
But it is what it is.
But
In fact, Paul's going to mention that here shortly.
It has to be that way. Because if not, then the Jews are going to be like, well, they already were, but even more so, they're going to be like, no, like, we've been doing this for a long time. You can't let them in. So he has to talk to the Jews first and say, hey, this is what's going on. So it has to be that way. Everything that he does is always the way that it has to be. And in most cases, other people can't see that that's the way it has to be. And somehow he just does it. And you even in this, like this,
He
like,
just goes ahead
like
and does
Jeff said,
it.
this was a teaching moment. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't. None of it was done just haphazardly. Like he just went this way for just because he was looking at the stars, or like everything
He
was
just
the way
wandered off into a doomed land.
right, exactly like it needed to be. And it's over and over in the Bible you see that the way people are like, it can either be this way or this way, and then Jesus is like, no, it's this way, and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It is that way. Like once he says it and you look at it and you read it, obviously we're in hindsight. But
Yeah, we're real good on this side of the resurrection.
even then, I think he's like, all right, guys, like this is. He uses all his moments for teaching moments that people are there just watching and waiting for him to talk, to see what he's going to say, to learn. And I think it's great that he teaches them through his actions too. Like,
Yes.
like that. He could have went with them and said, you know what, you're right. Like, let's just stick with the Jews. She's not going to get it. She's not getting her ticket yet. But he didn't. He changed the whole narrative without breaking anybody's feelings, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
And I just love it that he's soft like that. He didn't come hard with the whip to beat us into submission. He teaches us over and over and over, and even when we don't get it, I feel like he's like, come on, guys! But he keeps going.
You have little
He's
faith.
always there, even in the downtime, even when he's tired. He's always on and ready to save somebody because he doesn't want anybody to perish.
Yes, yes, great compassion.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
11 and 16, he goes, "Don't you understand yet?" Like, I read a lot of snarkiness into Jesus sometimes.
He can bring the snark. That is for sure.
Well, I think it's hard not to when you're like, I'm not speaking in a parable when I say, like, take care of everybody, love each other. There was no hidden, how many times do I have to tell you guys, through your faith you will do, through this, through God, through me, I'm him, like.
Yep.
All the time.
They didn't have PowerPoint back there.
I'm going to take a moment and do something. If you're watching at home, we just got these really cool new microphones.
Yeah.
And we aren't using them yet, but we are working with how things look and work. And I'm going to push this back just a little bit.
Push down from the top.
Push down from the top.
It'll fold in on itself also. Yeah. Or you can just swivel it out of the way. Like.
What I'm working on is I don't want it to cover the people.
Spaces.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well then.
I think I'm going to create a
I'm going to hang him from the ceiling.
little better, but not as good. Anyway, there you go. Oh, no, don't do that. So yeah. All right. Our speaking it and acting on it pleases him. I know where that came from. That lady, when she comes in, and the centurion when he comes and speaks to him, and the lady who comes and touches his garment, and the guy who, the blind guy who Jesus looks at and says to him what he clearly already knew. What do you want from me? Do you want to be healed? No, you know what I was thinking? This is a good way to make money, so I'm going to stick with this being blind thing. No, but Jesus, our speaking it to him and acting on it pleases him. And he speaks and moves based on our speaking it and acting on it. I think those things go together for him. Like, he doesn't have to do that any more than he had to get on. He didn't have to get on the cross. Could have said, that sounds really cool, but I'm out.
Makes us focus on exactly what we need and not just a generalization.
Why do you pray for your enemy?
Change you.
To change you. Because when you look at that guy the next day, even though he's a real jerk at work and he's hard on you and you he just roasts you. If you prayed for him when you got up this morning, when you look at him a little different. You can't help it. It's
when
like
you start to see yourself in them. You're like,
oh,
man, maybe that's why I'm so angry at this person, because it's me. It really turns your perspective. It really does. Like,
it sure does.
Kay taught me that you pray for your enemies for yourself, and it changed the way that I think about how it works.
Yep.
Specifically with the girl's dad, I prayed for him a lot. Like, hey, I hope that they can in the future have a relationship with him and like get to know him and stuff. But I never prayed like I was on his side, I guess. I was just more praying like, Jesus, please help him.
Fix him.
Right.
Jesus, fix him.
Right.
Jesus, fix him. He's broke, whatever.
But that's not what I should have been doing. That wasn't the prayer that should have happened. And I had to change that once she enlightened me of how different it is. Because it helps you grow as a person when you pray differently and you're specific about your prayers.
Yeah.
Not just help them or heal them or fix them or make them better so that this can work. Because that's just gossiping to God. Just telling him what you want fixed and what you think is
gossiping
wrong.
to God. Ooh, man, that'll frame some prayers in the future. That's just gossiping to God. Are you just gossiping to God? Ooh, I don't want to think about it that
There
way.
was a thing I said to Katie a lot when my dad and I were resolving our issues, and it was a lot of what you were just saying, because I used to tell her, like, there's a lot of things about my dad I don't like in myself.
Uh-huh.
And that was a big thing, and honestly, Kay explaining praying for your enemy, but the second she said that, it was like one of those spiritual gut punches where I was like, okay, keep your spiritual logic out of my emotional. like, makes total sense and I get it, but also at the same hand, it was woof.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Romans. Romans 11, 1 through 2a, which just means 1 through and then the first sentence in 2. And then jump down to 29 through 32. Okay, hit me, Kay.
I asked then, did God reject his people? By no means. I'm an Israelite myself, a descendant of Abraham from the tribe of Benjamin. God did not reject his people, whom he foreknew. Therefore, I will urge you, brothers and sisters, in the view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not confirm. 29?
It's
11.
Yeah.
My bad.
It's 1 through 20.
Okay, it's Romans 11, 1 through 2a,
And then 29.
and then 29 through 32.
Yes.
For God's gifts and his call are irrevocable, just as you who were at one time God's disobedient. For God's gift and his call are irrevocable. Just as you who were at one time disobedient to God now has received mercy as a result from their disobedience. So they too have now become disobedient in order that they may now receive mercy as a result of God's mercy on you. For God has bound everyone over to disobedience so that he may have mercy on you all.
Okay. All right, there's a puzzler to some degree. There are some things in there that if you don't try it a little bit or wrestle with it a little bit, can be confusing. But what jumps out to you guys?
Well, my brother went through some really hard, difficult rebellion. And I think a person who realized how much mercy God gave them, they had a great appreciation of who God is. And so these people were very rebellious. God was merciful, and now they probably see God's mercy better than they ever had before. And it's our own fault that we've been rebellious, because we've gone our own way.
When the gospel comes to the Gentile, and we just saw it through the Canaanite woman, we see it through the Samaritan woman, that we see it through the centurion, we see it through so many examples as Paul brings the word to the world. We see all these times when those who had no salvation, who had no option of it, are so glad to have it. But in modern day, it can be sometimes those who were raised in church. It's so often said that it's become cliche. Pastors' kids a lot of times have a real hard time with their faith because they're just like, look, I've seen behind the curtain, so just calm down. I know what happens here. So I saw my dad have a really bad day, and he said things and did things that he shouldn't do, and so God's a sham and all these things. It's harder, but then those people who weren't raised in it, and then they find out that there is salvation. I mean, I remember as an 8-year-old little boy who was being raised in a home that had some really, really horrible stuff going on. I remember that Cub Scout meeting where we were told that there was this Jesus who loved us no matter what we did and was there for us, and if we would accept him and follow him, that he would that we would have eternal life, I was like, I'm in. This is awesome. 8 years later, I was out, but because of other things. But again, yep. What else jumps out to you guys?
I'm just thinking about, why did Jesus pray? And to help him to be changed?
I mean, he was fully God and fully human, so there was still humanness in him. So
Interesting.
he needs energy and strength from the Father just like we do.
When we hear him say, if it's possible to take this cup from me,
Yes.
That shows.
but he needed that moment to change him, to be able to get through what was coming. We bring those things.
So on the cross, he begins to pray Psalms 22.
Yeah.
It's a song everybody knew.
Yeah.
It's,
Sure enough.
boy, what a great.
And he still, I believe, he was not born knowing the Bible. So he was not born knowing the Bible. Like, he didn't know everything. My beliefs. So he still had to study scripture and learn things as he went along.
Or he's not human.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it says he was born a baby. Babies aren't talking and walking and learning, like they have to grow too. It's not like he just turned one and was right, just knew everything.
No.
So he had to be a baby. He had
His
to
diaper had to be changed.
right. Like
He had
all
to
the
cry
other
and
babies.
annoy his mom and dad.
Just shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he had to have those experiences to know what it is to be human. That's what
Otherwise,
makes the
he's not
relation that
human.
we have so different, because we don't have a God that's like up in the sky, just like moving a wand around at
Mhm.
people. We have a God that we can go to. Like, I can pray to God personally, and He will come and talk to me. I don't have to come to you. I don't have to have a group with Ted and Kay, and we have to get together and do some chant for God to show up. None of that has to happen.
Yeah.
Because my God is real. Like, I can have a personal connection with Him.
Yep.
And that's not something that could happen without Jesus coming and dying on the cross to bridge that gap for us. But the only way He could do that was to be 100% human and 100% God.
Well, just
And that's, go ahead.
I was going to say, just like you were saying earlier, that, you know, everything that Jesus does is intentional, including if he comes as a baby, there's no excuse. Like, there's no way anyone can look at his life and be like, yeah, but you don't know what it's like to be 10 months, 14 days old, and blah, 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm being facetious, obviously, but, like, there's no opportunity for us to go, yeah, but you missed this one sliver of what we have to do. So, you know, because that's what we do with people.
Yeah.
So then all of your teaching is not.
Yeah, you're
you know, it's
discounted
not-
because
yeah, discounted. It's not sound. It doesn't have good foundation.
Well,
Anyway,
Luke 2:40 says, the child grew and became strong. He was filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was on him.
Mhm.
So he grew,
Yeah.
became strong.
Yeah. So there's this moment where they say to him a couple of things that are insightful to me. And one is, where does he get all this, basically? And I've got to figure he was a student, but he was a super gifted student. He's that kid who at 12 years old is in town and he's telling the teachers, because it's ridiculous to say that he wasn't perfect, because he was. So he's gifted. He grasps. So this is his lane, and he's way deep in it. So he was both. The other is, now it's my turn, Kay. I lost it.
One thing that makes
Yeah.
me,
What's that?
one thing that makes me think about his humanity is he was under his parents' control.
Yeah.
He didn't say, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
When he was gone for 2 days, they were upset with him. like, why didn't you come? He said, well, it's about my father's business, but that was not what he was. In the family type of thing, he was not doing what he was supposed to do.
Right.
So they had moderate control over him. I'm sure that yes, he was gifted, but still, he had to live the responsibility of being a child, young man, in a family. He wasn't his own separate entity that was just.
And one of the things, the other thing that brings back to me what the other thing was. One of the things is when the people of Nazareth are dealing with him, they say, "Isn't that the carpenter's son?" Because that's how they know him. That's so. We join Jesus, like, born. Joseph takes him to Egypt. Joseph brings him home to Nazareth instead of Bethlehem. And then we lose him. And then he appears again at 30. But he's 30. So that's a lot of time. And I just have this image. And again, I went back and went down the rabbit hole of studying first century rabbis. A first century rabbi would have come into his own at 30. He would have. So this is when we get Jesus. He's coming into his own. He's not doing dad's job anymore. He's coming into his own as a rabbi. So yeah, very much. He worked for Joseph, his earthly father. He was identified as Mary's kid and Joseph's kid, and he was under their control. Yeah. Very much a human being. Yeah. If God makes a covenant with you, something that jumped out to me. If God makes a covenant with you, God's going to keep his side. You do whatever you're going to do, God's going to keep his side. If you're Abraham, he's going to keep his side. If you're Jacob and Ornery, or if you're the picture in the encyclopedia of Ornery, he's still going to keep his side. He's also not going to leave you alone, and you are going to come back, or you are going to be destroyed in the midst of that. Not because he destroyed you, but because you want to go down that road, go down that road. I'm just saying.
Remind me of when you said you referred to Boy Scout, heard about Jesus, and then after 8 years you left.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, 35 years later, when you came back, you knew exactly where to go.
He knew where I was.
Because you weren't lost.
No.
He knew exactly where you were.
He knew exactly where I was.
For you to come back.
Yeah, he just was waiting on me to be in such a horrible spot that I had to call.
Reach the end of yourself.
Yeah, when I reached the end of myself, it's a very good way of putting it. I was completely at the end of myself in that moment, and
it's
so.
Like this church has been here for how many years? And you could go by it.
Since 1960.
You could stop and look at it, or you get it.
Yeah. It's still here.
It's still here.
Still going to be here. So, yeah.
Let's get it.
I'm reminded of, in a couple places, we're going to read it here shortly. When I read this, I got what you meant for evil, God used for good.
Yes.
And so when I say we're going to read, I hope we get to Genesis, that's another spot where you can bang your head and beat your chest and scream and yell and hurt people, and God's going to use it for good. So, well, that means everything's good. No, that doesn't mean everything's good. It does not. It does not. It does not.
You just read about Peter in the storm.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's going to be good.
It doesn't mean it's good, but it does mean he's going to use it for good. Yeah. Even the most bitter, evil, awful thing we thought of as humans, crucifying Jesus, God used it for good to redeem all of us. Okay, so who will read Genesis 45, 1 through 15?
I will.
Okay, hit me.
Joseph could stand it no longer. There were many people in the room, and he said to his attendants, "Out, all of you." So he was alone with his brothers when he told them who he was. Then he broke down and wept. He wept so loudly that the Egyptians could hear him. And word of it quickly carried to Pharaoh's palace. I am Joseph, he said to his brothers. Is my father still alive? But his brothers were speechless. They were stunned to realize that Joseph was standing there in front of them. Please, come closer, he said to them. So they came closer, and he said again, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery in Egypt. But don't be upset, and don't be angry with yourselves for selling me to this place. It was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. This famine that has ravished the land for 2 years will last 5 more years, and there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. God has sent me ahead of you to keep you and your families alive and to preserve many survivors. So it was God who sent me here, not you, and he is the one who made me an advisor to Pharaoh, the manager of his entire palace and the governor of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me master over all the land of Egypt, so come down to me immediately. You can live in the region of Goshen, where you can be near me with all your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and everything you own. I will take care of you there, for there are still 5 years of famine ahead of us. Otherwise, you, your household, and all of your animals will starve. Then Joseph added, look, you can see for yourself, and so can my brother Benjamin, that I really am Joseph. Go tell my father of my honored position here in Egypt. Describe for him everything you have seen, and then bring my father here quickly. Weeping with joy, he embraced Benjamin, and Benjamin did the same. Then Joseph kissed each of his brothers and wept over them, and after that they began talking freely with him.
Okay. What jumps out? First, I gotta say this. If you are watching and you have not read, the book of Genesis, then you should read the book of Genesis up to this point to understand what any of this even matters. But simply put, Joseph, yes, the Joseph from the Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat play, that guy, he was his father's favorite son, and his brothers all hated him for it, and his brothers came up with a ruse to get him out in the middle of nowhere, and then they put him in a cistern and sold him into slavery, where he became a slave, and he was sent to Egypt, where he is there. A bunch of stuff happens, but essentially what ends up happening, and this is way too short version, but Joseph ends up predicting that there will be a famine and predicting how to keep everybody from starving to death by storing up grain for a number of years before they get to that day. And then the famine comes. And when the famine comes, 2 years into the famine, Joseph's brothers and family are starving. And so they all head into Egypt to see if they can rustle up some grub. And when they get there, they're latched onto and brought to the guy who's in charge of how things are happening in Egypt at this point. Not because he's now the Pharaoh, because that's ridiculous, but because, like every other rich, powerful man, he finds somebody else to do his work. And he's put Joseph in charge of doing that work, and now Joseph is in charge. So that's what lands us to this point. The guys have come into town. Now, these are the same brothers that sold him into slavery. And so when we get to this point, and told their dad that this brother was dead, mauled to death by an animal, horrible thing to say to their dad. And now Joseph hits them with, is my dad okay? And I need you to go home and tell Dad. Sure. We're going to just go tell Dad that we lied all that time ago.
Jacob only considered 2 sons to be his, Benjamin and Joseph.
Yeah.
Because they were from Rachel, the one he loved.
Yeah, the one he wanted.
The others were from concubines or from Leah.
Yeah.
And so those were the 2 that would have gotten the inheritance. They were the ones that everything would have been passed down to him, even though the others were his offspring. They were like second-class citizens.
Yeah. And so, wonder why they hated him so much.
And he was smart, and he told.
Yeah. Well, he told them that he had a vision that someday he would rule over all of them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And your big brother loves to hear that.
Can't you just imagine them saying, "How dare you?"
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Your big half brother loves to hear you tell them, okay, smart aleck.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's really all we have time for today. I think the connection for me is basically what we intend for evil, God will use for good, and that God, what we will speak with our mouth and take into action, He will honor, and it pleases Him. So, okay, guys, that's all we've got today. You guys have